She can't see us.
Meet me in my study in 10 minutes.
The night it all exploded, the mansion in Lekki Phase 1 was too quiet for a Friday. The compound lights cast a soft yellow glow over the marble floor, and the hum of the generator droned in the background. Inside the living room, Madame Vanessa Cole, the famous boss lady of Cole Luxury Logistics, sat on a long cream sofa, dressed in a simple black kaftan, oversized dark glasses on her face, a white cane resting beside her. Everyone in Lagos, high society, had already heard the news. The millionaire boss lady had gone blind. Her husband, Daniel Cole, had posted a long emotional message on Instagram, asking friends and fans to pray. Vanessa had stopped going out. Her driver moved her everywhere. Her personal assistant told callers that Madame could no longer see. The only people who knew the truth were Vanessa, her doctor, and God. Because Vanessa wasn't blind at all. She could see everything in that room, including the way her husband's hand was slowly resting on the waist of the young housemaid standing beside him. Vanessa kept her face still, her head slightly tilted like someone who depended only on sound. She listened to the soft laughter, the whispering, the small shifting of feet on tiles. If not for years of boardroom training, her fingers would have trembled. The maid, Tasha, wore a tight, short Ankara gown that Vanessa never approved for staff. Her dark brown legs were bare, her small afro puff held up with a yellow band. She was in her early 20s, slim, with smooth chocolate skin and sharp eyes that always watched too much. Right now, those sharp eyes were studying Vanessa's face, checking for any reaction. Vanessa didn't move. "Madam, should I bring your tea?" Tasha asked, voice sweet like honey. "Yes, please," Vanessa replied calmly, staring straight ahead as if the darkness was real. She saw Daniel's fingers slide away from the maid's waist as soon as she spoke. He cleared his throat. "You need to rest, Nessa," he said softly, using that pet name he hadn't used in months. "Remember what the doctor said." Vanessa turned her face toward where his voice came from and gave a small smile that made her feel sick. "I remember. Thank you." Daniel stepped closer, and now his cologne hit her nose, that expensive woody one he started wearing recently. Before, he never cared what he smelled like. Now everything was different. The gym membership, the new clothes, the sudden late meetings, the way he kept his phone upside down on the table. But the last blow had been from the security camera. Vanessa's mind flashed back to what she'd seen on her phone 3 nights ago. The backyard camera, 2 shadows near the kitchen door, a man's hand touching a woman's cheek, a soft laugh, a quick kiss. Daniel and Tasha in her own house. That was when she called her doctor friend in the States and said, "I need something crazy. I need to pretend I'm blind." Now here she was, watching them through dark glasses, pretending she could see nothing. Tasha walked to the kitchen, her hips swaying just a little too much for someone carrying ordinary tea. Daniel sat in the single armchair opposite Vanessa, his eyes on her, trying to look like a loving husband. She could feel his gaze pressing on her face. "Are you okay?" he asked. "You've been quiet." "I'm just tired," she replied. "Everything feels strange when you can't see." The words tasted like ash, but they sounded weak and helpless, exactly how she wanted them to sound. He nodded slowly, then picked up his phone. Vanessa heard a tiny buzz. She knew what that was, WhatsApp. From the kitchen came a faint vibration, another phone. Vanessa's jaw tightened, but she forced herself to keep breathing evenly. She heard soft footsteps returning. Tasha came back with a tray and placed the tea gently on the glass table in front of her. "Madam, your tea," she said. "Thank you, dear," Vanessa replied, groping carefully for the cup like she'd practiced in the mirror. Her fingers found the handle. The tea was hot. Tasha stayed close, a little too close, her perfume cheap but strong floating into Vanessa's nose. Daniel stood, "I'll just take a quick call upstairs," he said. "Tasha, stay with Madam." "Yes, sir," the maid answered quickly. Vanessa listened to his steps as he left the living room and climbed the stairs. The click of his shoes faded away. Silence settled, heavy and tense. Slowly, Tasha moved from the side of the sofa and came to stand right in front of Vanessa, staring down at her behind thick lashes. If Vanessa wasn't wearing the dark glasses, their eyes would have met. Instead, Vanessa kept her head tilted slightly away, pretending to search for the sugar bowl with her hand. Tasha watched her for a long moment, then smiled to herself, a small cold smile. "So this is how it is now," the maid murmured under her breath, almost like she was testing if Madam could hear properly. Vanessa stirred her tea and said nothing. "You can't see anything, Ba," Tasha whispered again, this time bending a little closer. Vanessa's grip tightened on the spoon, but her face remained calm. She didn't respond. The maid straightened, now more confident. She glanced toward the stairs, then to the big wall clock, then back to Vanessa. "Madam," she said louder, her voice polite again, "do you want anything else?" "No, I'm fine. You can sit if you want. I don't like feeling alone," Vanessa replied, letting her voice shake just slightly. Tasha hesitated, then pulled a small stool closer and sat, crossing her legs. The anklet on her right leg glinted in the light. Vanessa noticed everything. The maid studied her for a few seconds and then asked, "Madam, are you scared?" "Yes," Vanessa answered honestly. "I'm very scared." "Because of your eyes?" Tasha asked. Vanessa nodded slowly. "Because of many things." A small silence passed. Then Tasha laughed quietly, a laugh that didn't match her innocent girl performance from before. "Life is funny," she said. "One day you're on top. The next day everything can change." Vanessa turned her head toward her, pretending to follow the sound. "What do you mean?" she asked gently. "Nothing, Madam," Tasha replied quickly. "I'm just talking." But her tone said more than her words. Upstairs, a door closed. A moment later, Vanessa's phone, the one on the couch beside her, buzzed. Tasha jumped slightly. Vanessa counted in her head. 1, 2, 3. Then she slowly reached for the phone, fumbling like someone who couldn't see the device. "Let me help you, Madam," Tasha said quickly, snatching the phone up. Her eyes saw the screen light up. A WhatsApp message from Danny read. Vanessa almost stopped breathing. Tasha held the phone just a bit too long, her thumb hovering like she wanted to open it. Then she put the phone in Vanessa's hand. "It's from Olga," she said. "Do you want me to read it?" Vanessa knew that if she said no, she would look suspicious. If she said yes, she would have to sit through the lie. "Yes, please," she whispered. Tasha unlocked the phone. Her eyes scanned the message. She blinked once, twice, and Vanessa caught her lower lip roll between her teeth, the way she did when she was excited or nervous. "Read it," Vanessa said again. Tasha's voice came out flat. He said, "Tell her I'll be working late again tonight. Don't let her worry. You're doing well. I owe you." Vanessa's heart slammed against her ribs. Daniel was upstairs, not at work. He sent that message to the maid, expecting her to manage his lie for him. "And is that all?" Vanessa asked quietly. "Yes, Madam," Tasha replied. She deleted something quickly. Vanessa heard the tiny click of a button, then locked the phone and placed it back in Vanessa's palm. In that moment, Vanessa knew two things clearly. Her husband trusted this maid more than he trusted his own wife. And the maid was bold enough to erase messages right in front of her face, because she believed Vanessa was trapped in darkness forever. Vanessa lifted the teacup to her lips to hide the storm in her eyes. From upstairs, Daniel's voice floated down the staircase, low and playful. Another softer, female giggle answered him. Vanessa froze. There should be no other woman in that house. Slowly, silently, she set the cup down. Every muscle in her body went cold. Had he brought someone else into her home? She heard footsteps on the stairs, 2 sets, one heavy, one light. Vanessa adjusted her glasses, pushed her cane closer and leaned back, her blank, blind expression returning to her face like a mask. Tasha's eyes flicked to the staircase, and suddenly, a smug, satisfied smile curved her lips. The first figure appeared at the landing. Daniel. Then a second figure followed behind him, close, too close, and as they descended the stairs together, Vanessa realized with a jolt that the second person was not a new woman at all. It was Tasha, the same housemaid, but this time her hand was still in Daniel. Their fingers intertwined, as if they had forgotten for one dangerous moment that the blind woman sitting on the sofa could see every single thing. Vanessa's breath caught in her throat. Daniel didn't let go of the maid's hand. He leaned down to Tasha's ear and whispered, "Remember our plan. After tonight, everything changes." Vanessa's fingers tightened around her cane, so hard her knuckles turned white. What plan? What was going to change after tonight? And why did both of them look at her like she was already gone? Daniel and Tasha reached the bottom of the staircase, still holding hands, still whispering as though the woman sitting right in front of them was nothing more than furniture. Vanessa didn't flinch. She didn't turn her head. She didn't blink too quickly. She simply remained the blind woman, quiet and unaware. Inside, her blood boiled like hot oil. "Madam," Daniel said, finally letting go of the maid's hand, "did you eat anything? You look tired." "I'm fine," Vanessa replied, her voice soft, steady, "just trying to adjust." "Good," Daniel murmured. "You should sleep early tonight." His tone was too calm, too controlled, like a man rehearsing patience. Then he turned to the maid. "Tasha, you know what to do." "Yes, sir," she answered, her voice unusually firm. Vanessa watched them in her peripheral vision as Daniel walked to the dining table to check his phone. The maid walked back into the kitchen, but before she disappeared, she glanced over her shoulder at Vanessa with a look that made the boss lady's stomach twist. A look of ownership, as if she already believed this house belonged to her. Vanessa rested her hands on her cane and took slow breaths. She had planned to uncover the affair quietly, gather recordings, gather evidence, confront them at the right time. But whatever this plan was, it sounded bigger than cheating. It sounded dangerous. And she needed to know the truth before she became their next victim. She sat there silently until she heard Daniel walk upstairs again, his phone ringing. His voice was low, hushed. The moment he was gone, Vanessa stood from the sofa and walked toward the hallway, her cane tapping the floor like someone searching for direction. She used the sound to disguise her real intention, finding the truth. As she passed the kitchen, she heard Tasha talking quietly on the phone. "No, don't worry. Tonight everything will be ready. Madam won't suspect anything. Yes, sir, I trust you." "Sir?" She wasn't talking to Daniel. Vanessa froze, listening. "Yes, sir, I'll slip it in her drink. She won't feel anything." Vanessa's heart slammed so violently, she almost dropped her cane. "Slip what in whose drink?" She leaned closer, eyebrows tight, breath shallow. "Yes, sir," Tasha repeated, her voice excited. "Once she sleeps deeply, we'll carry her. Nobody will see us. The driver is paid. We'll finish everything before morning." A cold wave shot through Vanessa's chest. They weren't just cheating. They were planning to get rid of her. Her knees almost gave out, but she tightened her grip on the cane and forced her posture to slump, pretending to be confused. "Tasha," she called, stepping forward. There was a sharp gasp, then hurried footsteps. The maid hid her phone behind her back and rushed forward, face bright and innocent. "Madam, you scared me. Are you hungry?" I'm trying to find the guest bathroom," Vanessa replied, pretending to sound lost. "Oh," Tasha laughed lightly. "Don't worry, madam, let me guide you." She took Vanessa's elbow, too gently, too carefully and walked her toward the guest bathroom. Vanessa didn't miss the trembling in the maid's hand. She knew she had caught part of something she wasn't supposed to hear. At the bathroom door, Tasha released her. "Call me if you need help," she said quickly, then hurried away. The moment the maid left, Vanessa stepped inside and closed the door quietly. Her breath shook, but she forced herself to stay calm. She leaned against the sink, hands trembling slightly as she tried to make sense of everything. They wanted her unconscious. They wanted her moved somewhere. And the driver, her own employee, was involved. Vanessa touched her face with both hands, grounding herself. "No," she whispered, "I won't let them." She couldn't call the police, not yet. Her blindness would complicate everything. She couldn't alert Daniel, he was part of it. She couldn't call her assistant, she didn't know who else had been compromised. For now, she had to gather more evidence. And she needed to stay alive. She straightened her blouse, adjusted her glasses, and walked out with slow, careful steps. But as she entered the corridor, she collided with someone. Strong hands grabbed her shoulders. "Careful, sweetheart," Daniel said, steadying her. "You shouldn't be walking around like this." He smelled like cologne mixed with sweat, like he'd been nervous or running around upstairs. "I just needed the bathroom," she murmured. "Next time call me," he said gently. "I'll come." Vanessa nodded in the direction of his voice, hiding her suspicion behind a calm smile. He held her hand for a second longer, then let go. "Dinner will be ready soon," he said. "Tasha is preparing something special tonight." "Special?" Vanessa swallowed hard. "I'll wait," she answered quietly. Daniel walked away, leaving her alone in the hallway. She stood there motionless until she heard Tasha's voice from the kitchen again. "Sir, don't worry, she didn't hear anything. She can't even see her own hand. Everything is under control." A lie. And the maid didn't know she was lying to herself. Vanessa went back to the living room and sat. She needed a plan of her own, and she needed it fast. After a few minutes, Tasha returned with a tray. This time she carried a tall glass of fruit juice. "Madam," she said sweetly, "I made something refreshing for you. You'll love it." Something refreshing. Something she planned to slip it into. Vanessa lifted her chin slightly. "Please place it on the table," she said. "Thank you." The maid obeyed, but she didn't walk away. She stared at Vanessa, waiting, watching, hoping she would drink it. Vanessa pretended to grope for the glass, lifted it halfway, and then stopped. She tilted her head, listening carefully, as though noticing something subtle. "Tasha," she said softly, "did you add anything new to this? It smells different." Tasha's entire body stiffened. "Oh no, madam," she replied too quickly. "Just fruits, mango, pineapple, normal things." Vanessa murmured, pretending to think. "All right." She placed the glass back on the table, without tasting a drop. The maid's eyes darkened. A loud knock suddenly boomed at the gate outside. The security man opened and shouted into the house. "Madam, someone is here to see you." Daniel came rushing down the stairs. "Who?" "Somebody from the bank," the guard said. Daniel froze. Vanessa heard Tasha gasp. What do they want?" Daniel asked, voice shaky. The guard replied, "They say it's urgent, something about an account." Vanessa's mind spun. What account? Why now? Why was her husband panicking? Tasha's face lost color. And before anyone could move, a man in a dark blue suit stepped into the hallway holding a brown envelope. His eyes scanned the room, and then landed squarely on Vanessa. "Madam Cole," he said firmly, "we need to talk. It's about a recent withdrawal request signed in your name." Vanessa slowly removed her dark glasses. For the first time since the beginning of her blindness, she looked the man straight in the eye. Daniel and Tasha froze like statues. Their faces drained instantly. She wasn't blind. Not even close. The room fell dead silent. The man in the blue suit opened the envelope. Someone, he continued, attempted to move 20 million naira from your personal emergency account into a private account belonging to your housemaid. Tasha stumbled back, her hands flying to her mouth. Daniel whispered, "Vanessa, wait, I can explain." Vanessa rose slowly, her cane in her hand like a weapon. The time for pretending was over. But before she could speak, the man in the blue suit added one final sentence. "And madam, that's not the worst part." He held out a second document. This transaction was authorized for tonight at midnight. Vanessa's heart pounded once hard. Midnight. Exactly when they planned to drug her. Exactly when they planned to move her. Exactly when she was supposed to disappear. She looked at her husband. He looked back, pale, desperate, cornered. And before she could say a word, he whispered something that sent chills down her spine. "Vanessa, please, don't make this harder. We were trying to help you." Viewers, if you're following the story so far, remember to like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss the next shocking twist. Also, before we continue, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. We'd love to know. For a long moment, no one in the room moved. The air felt heavier than Harmattan dust settling over Lagos. Vanessa stood tall, the dark glasses now placed deliberately on the table, exposing eyes that had never been blind. Her stare was sharp, the stare of a woman who had seen everything. Daniel swallowed hard, sweat collecting on his forehead, as if someone poured hot water down his spine. Tasha, on the other hand, trembled like she had seen a ghost. The man in the blue suit stepped back respectfully. "Madam, I'll leave the documents with you. You may contact the bank in the morning, but we were instructed to inform you immediately." He bowed slightly, then walked out. The door closed. The house fell silent again. Vanessa turned her gaze toward Daniel, not shouting, not crying, not angry. Just cold. "Trying to help me," she repeated slowly. Daniel ran a hand over his head. "Vanessa, please listen." "To what?" she asked. "To the lies you rehearsed with your housemaid, or to the plan I overheard between you two?" Tasha shook her head violently. "Madam, it's not what you think." Vanessa raised one finger. "Say one more word," she said, "and you will never speak again in this house." The maid shut her mouth instantly. Daniel took a step forward. "I was going to tell you, but I didn't know how." "How?" Vanessa cut in. "To hide 20 million naira, or how to make me disappear before anyone found out." A sudden panic crossed Daniel's face. "It's not like that. Please, Vanessa, let me explain." "Good," she said quietly. "Explain." Daniel looked at the floor like a guilty child. "I didn't plan to hurt you." "Then what exactly did you plan to do?" Vanessa asked. His jaw clenched, his fists tightened. Tasha watched him carefully, almost as if she were afraid he would reveal too much. Vanessa noticed that. "Are you waiting for him to confess?" she asked the maid sharply. "Or are you waiting for him to lie again?" Tasha remained silent. Daniel exhaled shakily. "It started months ago. The company had issues. I made some bad investments. We were losing money and I didn't know how to tell you." "By taking a mistress?" Vanessa asked. His face tightened. "I didn't mean for that to happen either." Tasha flinched but said nothing. Daniel continued. "Tasha, she told me she knew someone who could help, someone who could clear the debts fast." Vanessa's eyes narrowed. "And what did she ask for in return?" Daniel looked away, shame burning his cheeks. He wanted collateral, something valuable. That word hit Vanessa like a slap. "Collateral," she repeated. Silence. Daniel took another shaky breath. He said he needed a guarantor, someone wealthy, someone stable. If anything went wrong, he wanted, well, he hesitated. "Say it," Vanessa demanded. He finally met her eyes. "He wanted you." Tasha gasped softly, and Vanessa's breath caught in her chest. They offered me a deal, Daniel said quickly. Something temporary. They said if you were unavailable for a while, they could move money from your account legally to cover the debt, just for a short time. They promised you would be safe. Unavailable, Vanessa repeated with disgust. You mean unconscious, hidden like luggage. Daniel's throat bobbed as he swallowed. Tasha finally spoke, her voice tiny. Madam, it was only because Olga was desperate. I didn't want to. You didn't want to? Vanessa turned to her sharply. I heard your call, slip it in her drink. We'll carry her. Nobody will see us. Those were your words. The maid's lips trembled. Vanessa took one step toward her. I trusted you, I fed you, I paid you. I even bought medicine for your sick mother. And this is what you planned for me. Tasha dropped to her knees, crying. Madam, forgive me. It was the man sir introduced me to. He threatened my family. He said if I didn't help him, he would. Daniel snapped, stop lying. Both women stared at him. Daniel paced, running his hands through his hair. She's not innocent, Vanessa. She was the one who connected me to that man. She knew the plan from the beginning. She wanted the money in her account. She wanted to run away with. With what? Vanessa asked. Daniel froze. With you, she continued, with my husband. His silence said everything. Tasha sobbed harder. Madam, please, I swear I didn't want to take your place. Oh, really? Vanessa fired back. Then why did you wear your anklet on your left leg tonight? The one you only wear when you want attention. Tasha looked up, stunned. Vanessa turned to Daniel. And your cologne. You never wore that scent until she arrived. Daniel opened his mouth, but no words came out. The truth was already too loud. Vanessa took a deep breath and steadied herself. So the plan, she said calmly, was to drug me at dinner, move 20 million into her account by midnight, and deliver me unconscious to a man who had threatened both of you. Daniel flinched. Vanessa, I didn't want to hurt you. You wanted to save yourself, she corrected. He bowed his head, yes. She inhaled sharply. It hurt deeply, terribly, but she refused to let that pain break her. Not tonight. Get up, Vanessa said to Tasha. The maid slowly rose, wiping her tears. You have 2 minutes, Vanessa told her, to pack your things and leave my house. Touch nothing else. Tasha hesitated. Madam, please. 2 minutes. The maid ran upstairs, stumbling over her own feet. Vanessa turned back to Daniel, but before she could speak, he rushed toward her. Please don't send her away yet, he begged desperately. You don't understand. If she leaves, that man will know the plan failed. He will come for us. He'll come tonight. Vanessa stared at him, heart slowing. What man? She asked. The one who lent me the money, Daniel whispered. He's dangerous, very dangerous, and he will not forgive failure. A loud sound suddenly crashed outside, like a gate slamming open too fast. The security guard shouted. Multiple footsteps thundered into the compound. Vanessa's eyes widened. Daniel turned pale. Tasha's scream echoed from upstairs. Vanessa rushed to the window and pulled the curtain an inch aside. 5 men in black hoodies had entered the compound. 2 carried bags. 1 held something long, metallic, dangerous. They weren't coming to talk. They were coming to finish what Daniel and Tasha started, whether the couple cooperated or not. Daniel whispered, terrified. He found us. Vanessa dropped the curtain and stepped backward. The men were approaching the front door. One of them cocked a gun. Another shouted, move, she must be inside. Vanessa grabbed her cane, her voice a whisper but filled with steel. Daniel, go upstairs, now. He stared at her in shock. Vanessa. Go. Heavy fists started banging against the front door. Open this door now. Daniel hesitated for 1 second too long. The front door lock snapped. The wooden frame splintered. Dark silhouettes began forcing their way in. Vanessa stood her ground. The house filled with danger. And just before the men entered fully, the leader shouted, "Bring the woman, the blind one. She's worth more to us alive." Vanessa's breath froze. They still believed she couldn't see. In that moment, she knew something else, something far worse. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a kidnapping. Planned, paid for, and already in motion. The door finally gave way with a violent crack, swinging inward as the men in black stormed into the living room. Their boots thudded heavily on the marble floor. Vanessa instinctively stepped back, gripping her cane like a weapon even though she knew it wouldn't stop bullets. The leader, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a scar across his jaw, stepped in first. His voice was rough enough to scrape brick. "Where is she?" he demanded. "The blind woman, bring her out now." Vanessa's heart hammered, but she kept her face blank, her posture stiff, still playing the role they expected. Another man entered, carrying a metal case. A third scanned the house with a flashlight even though all the lights were on. They moved with frightening confidence, like people who knew no one was going to stop them. Behind Vanessa, Daniel panicked. "Oh God, oh God." The leader turned sharply. "You," he growled, "where is your wife?" Daniel froze, his eyes darting between Vanessa and the intruders. Vanessa's voice came out calm, too calm. "I'm here." The men turned toward the sound like wolves, scenting blood. The leader stepped closer, grinning. "Ah, Madam Boss Lady, we finally meet." He tilted his head. "Blind but still proud, good, very good." Vanessa tilted her chin upward, letting them believe the act. "What do you want?" she asked. "You already know," the man replied. "You are our guarantee, until your husband and his little girlfriend keep their own end of the deal." He looked around the room, amused. "But since the money didn't enter our account tonight, we had to come collect our deposit." Behind Vanessa, Daniel whispered shakily, "I'll get the money, just give me time." The leader laughed loudly. "Time? My friend, you were given 2 months. You wasted all of it on late-night meetings with your maid." Tasha's footsteps pounded down the stairs. She had her bag slung over her shoulder, her face streaked with tears. "Please, I didn't tell them to come." One of the men yanked her forward by her arm. She cried out and stumbled to the floor. The leader smirked. "Ah, our little messenger. You thought we didn't know you wanted to run away. You wanted to steal everything and disappear with this man. You forget, nothing hides from us." Daniel's eyes widened. "Run away? Tasha, what is he talking about?" Tasha sobbed harder, unable to speak. Vanessa watched them carefully. The truth was finally unraveling. The leader stepped closer to her again. "Now, madam, you will come with us quietly. No shouting, no fighting, no drama. If you cooperate, you will not be harmed." Vanessa slowly lifted her cane. "What if I refuse?" The man chuckled. "Blind people shouldn't ask tough questions." He reached for her arm. At that exact moment, Daniel lunged. It happened fast, too fast. "Don't touch her," Daniel yelled, grabbing the leader's arm. Vanessa gasped. She hadn't expected him to step forward. The leader shoved Daniel back with one hand, sending him crashing into the glass table. The table shattered loudly. Daniel groaned, blood trickling from his elbow. "Stupid man," the leader hissed. "You think we're playing." 2 men rushed forward and held Daniel down. He struggled but couldn't break free. The leader turned back to Vanessa. "You're coming with us, now." Vanessa steadied her breathing. "Fine," she said softly. "I'll go, but I need my glasses." The leader smirked. "Of course, blind people need their glasses." He bent slightly. Vanessa moved before he could straighten. Using the cane like a trained striker, she jabbed it upward sharply, right into his throat. The leader stumbled back, choking. The entire room erupted. "Grab her," one of the men shouted. Vanessa ran, not blindly but with sharp precision, past the sofa down the hallway. She knew the house better than anyone. "Block the back door," a man yelled. She reached the corridor leading to the kitchen, but a shadow leaped in front of her. She spun, dodged, and slipped past another attacker, her heart racing. She ran into the storage room and slammed the door shut. She locked it quickly, pressing her back against the wall. The men were outside instantly. "Break the door." Wood shook violently as fists and boots pounded against it. Vanessa scanned the small room. No windows, only shelves of cleaning supplies and tools. She grabbed the heaviest object she could find, a steel mop handle, and held it tight. The door rattled again. "Madam," one man taunted, "we will take you dead or alive, choose one." Voices shouted from outside. "Check the side window." "No window here." "She's trapped." The pounding grew louder. Meanwhile, in the living room, Daniel fought to sit up. He crawled to Vanessa's phone on the sofa. One man kicked him in the ribs, but he still reached for the phone and dialed. The guard outside wasn't answering. The police, too risky, too slow. He dialed someone else. Someone unexpected. "Please pick up," he whispered weakly. "Pick up." Back in the storage room, the wood cracked. Vanessa knew she had seconds. She scanned the shelves again. Something caught her eye, a fire extinguisher, still full. She grabbed it, aimed it at the door, and waited. The door burst open. A man charged inside. Vanessa pressed the lever. A powerful burst of white foam exploded into his face. He screamed, stumbling back blindly. Two more men struggled to get in. She swung the steel mop hard, once, twice, hitting arms and shoulders, forcing them back. But there were too many. A hand grabbed her wrist, another reached for her waist. She fought with everything in her, but she was being dragged out. Her glasses fell to the floor. The leader recovered, holding his bruised neck. His eyes burned with rage. "You want to fight?" he growled. "Fine, we will take you fighting." Vanessa gasped for air as the men pulled her forward. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared outside the house. Not the security alarm. A car alarm. No, multiple car alarms. Headlights flashed through the windows. Engines revved. Dozens of footsteps rushed into the compound. The leader froze. "What's that?" Then a voice thundered from outside. "Police, everyone stay where you are." The men panicked instantly. The leader cursed. She called the police. Daniel's voice echoed from the living room, weak but loud. "No, I did." The intruders scrambled, grabbing their bags, abandoning the plan. Vanessa fell to her knees as the men scattered. One man shouted, "The gate, run!" Another yelled, "Drop everything, move!" They dashed toward the back exit. But armed officers were already swarming the compound. "Hands up," an officer shouted, "don't move." The intruders tried to fight, but they were outnumbered. Within seconds, shouts, gun commands, and heavy thuds filled the air as officers tackled them. The leader tried to escape through the side fence, but a policeman hit him with a baton before he could climb. They dragged him down, cuffing his hands behind his back. Vanessa sat on the floor, shaking violently. A female officer rushed to her. "Madam, are you all right?" Vanessa nodded, tears brimming, but not from fear. From exhaustion. From betrayal. From everything. Daniel staggered into the hallway, bloody and breathless. He stared at his wife, alive, and crumbled to the floor. "Vanessa," he whispered, "I am sorry." She didn't answer. She couldn't. Not yet. Tasha emerged from upstairs, holding her bag, eyes swollen. An officer grabbed her arm. "You're coming with us," he said. Tasha cried, No, no, please, madam, help me. Vanessa didn't turn. She heard the cuffs click around the maid's wrists. The police escorted the intruders outside. The house finally grew quiet again. Too quiet. Vanessa closed her eyes and leaned against the wall, trembling. The nightmare wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because as the officers led the men away, the leader shouted back at her. This is not finished. You owe us, you hear me? You owe us, and we always collect. Vanessa opened her eyes slowly. Cold fear crawling into her chest. This chapter was over. But the real danger. It was just beginning. The house was a battlefield of broken glass, overturned furniture, and fatting echoes of chaos. Even with the intruders gone and the police outside gathering statements, the mansion felt suffocating, like danger still clung to the walls. Vanessa sat slowly on the edge of the sofa. Her hands trembled, but her face remained calm, the face of a woman who refused to break in front of her enemy. Daniel knelt beside her, bruised and bleeding. Vanessa, please, I never meant for things to get this far. She didn't look at him. She didn't trust herself to. She stared at the floor, breathing hard, trying to steady her thoughts. Daniel, she whispered, finally turning her gaze toward him, you planned to drug me, to deliver me like baggage, and now you want forgiveness. Tears slipped down his cheek. He shook his head. I was stupid, desperate, and blinded by the mess I created, but everything tonight, no matter how selfish, I tried to protect you. You protected yourself, Vanessa corrected softly. She stood, ignoring the sharp ache in her legs. The female officer walked in again. Madam, we've taken the suspects to the station. But, she hesitated, her expression tightening. Their leader said something else during interrogation. Vanessa stiffened. What did he say? He said the man funding all this, the man your husband owes, is not just any lone shark. He's dangerous, powerful, and he's been tracking your family for weeks. Daniel's head dropped into his hands. The officer continued, we believe he might try again. You're not safe here tonight. You need somewhere discreet to stay. Vanessa nodded slowly. Where is Tasha? She's in custody, the officer replied. She'll be questioned for her involvement. Daniel exhaled shakily. At least she won't get hurt. Vanessa shot him a cold look. You still care about her? He froze. There it was. The crack in his soul. The truth. I don't, he began. Save it, Vanessa cut in. I'm tired of lies. Daniel stood and reached for her hand. She stepped back. Don't touch me. The rejection hit him like a slap. His face crumpled, but she refused to feel pity. She walked toward the staircase to grab her bag, but halfway up, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She paused and pulled it out. A message. Unknown number. Her stomach tightened. She tapped it open. The message was short. Cold. Threatening. Tonight was only a warning. The next time we won't miss. Vanessa nearly dropped the phone. She turned sharply to the female officer. They're still watching. The officer quickly sent a signal to the team outside. We're sweeping the compound again. No one leaves this mansion without escort. Daniel approached slowly. Vanessa, we should go to your mother's house or to a hotel, somewhere safe. Vanessa shook her head. We can't go to family, we can't go to hotels, they'll expect that. So what do? Daniel whispered. Vanessa's mind raced. She needed somewhere unexpected, somewhere no one would think to look. And suddenly she knew. Our old factory, she said slowly, the abandoned warehouse at the edge of Surrey. Daniel blinked, the one we closed 5 years ago. Yes, Vanessa said firmly. No one knows about that place except you and me, not even your lover. Daniel winced. But it's dirty, he said. No electricity, no security. That makes it safe. The officer nodded. It might work, we'll escort you there. Vanessa grabbed her handbag and headed upstairs to pack a few essentials. Her mind spun with everything that had unraveled in only a few hours. As she packed, she heard footsteps softly climbing the stairs. Slow, unsteady. She knew it was Daniel even before he spoke. Vanessa. She continued, folding a blouse. You didn't answer me earlier, he said quietly. What answer do you want? She asked without turning. He walked closer. I know I did terrible things. I know I betrayed you. I know I deserve whatever pain you feel, but I need you to hear me. I wasn't trying to replace you. Her hands paused. He continued, voice shaking. I was drowning, and Tasha, she showed me sympathy, something I didn't even deserve, but it wasn't love. Vanessa, it wasn't love, it was stupidity, weakness, fear. She finally turned to face him. You planned to kidnap me. I planned to fix the mistake, he said, his voice breaking. But the men changed the deal. They wanted more, and I didn't know how to stop it. So you decided to let them take me, she said. Daniel's face collapsed. No, when they said they wanted you, something broke inside me. I couldn't let it happen. That's why I fought tonight. Vanessa swallowed hard. The image of him, lunging at the leader, replayed in her mind. He had fought. But did that erase everything? No, not yet. It doesn't change the truth, she said softly. You betrayed our marriage, you lied to my face, and you risked my life. Daniel's shoulders slumped. Can I at least try to fix it? He asked weakly. She stared at him long and hard. I didn't survive tonight, she said, just to become a fool again. His eyes glistened. But before he could speak again, a loud crash echoed downstairs. Vanessa froze. The officer shouted, Stay inside, don't come down. Daniel stepped backward as another crash shook the house, something heavy hitting the front door. Vanessa's heart dropped. The officer's voice rang out sharply, Everyone stay alert. Boots pounded outside. The officers were shouting commands. Then, a voice thundered from outside the gate. A voice they had heard before. We warned you. It was the leader. He had escaped police custody. And he wasn't alone. Vanessa ran to the window and peered through the curtain. 6 motorcycles. More men. Armed. Ready. Daniel, she whispered, her voice trembling, we have to leave now. He grabbed her hand without thinking, and this time she didn't pull away. They rushed downstairs as the officers scattered to form a defensive line. One officer shouted, We need to evacuate the madam through the back. But as Vanessa and Daniel reached the kitchen door, a deep, chilling voice came from the darkness outside. You're not going anywhere. Vanessa froze. A man stepped out of the shadows. Not the leader, but someone far worse. The mastermind. The financier. The one they had never seen. He held a gun and pointed it straight at Vanessa. Boss lady, he said in a cold whisper, your husband owes me more than money. Daniel stepped in front of her instinctively. Please don't. The gun cocked. No begging, the man said. You both are coming with me. Vanessa's breath caught. Her heart stopped. The officers were too far. There was no escape. This was no longer about debt. This was personal. The cold muzzle of the gun pointed directly at Vanessa froze the entire room. Even the officers near the entrance stopped shouting for a moment, the tension in the mansion thick enough to choke on. The man who stepped from the shadows was calm, too calm. He carried the confidence of someone who had ended many stories long before this night. His voice was smooth, deep, and terrifyingly steady. Madam Vanessa Cole, he said, you should have stayed blind. Daniel stood protectively in front of Vanessa, shaking but refusing to move. Please, she has nothing to do with this. I'll pay. I'll do anything. You had your chance, the man replied, and you wasted it playing romance with your own maid. Daniel's face crumpled. Vanessa's heart pounded so loudly she wondered if the man could hear it. Behind the intruder, two more men appeared, carrying ropes, a black bag and a small case, tools for kidnapping, tools for disappearing people. The female officer near the entrance lifted her gun slightly. "Drop your weapon," she commanded sharply. The intruder smiled, a smile that did not touch his eyes. "You shoot me," he said calmly, "and my men shoot your madam before I fall." The officer faltered. He wasn't bluffing. His men had guns too. Everything balanced on a thin thread. Daniel whispered without turning around, "Vanessa, if anything happens, I'm sorry." Vanessa's jaw clenched. This was not the time for apologies. Her eyes darted around the room, searching for a chance, for an opening, for anything. But the men were positioned perfectly. The intruder took another step forward. "Separate them," he ordered. The two men moved in quickly. One grabbed Daniel roughly, dragging him back. The other reached for Vanessa. But Vanessa stepped backward, raising her cane defensively. The intruder laughed softly. "Boss lady still fighting, I like your spirit." He motioned to his men, "Bring her." They advanced. But just then, a sudden loud noise cut through the house. A crash outside. Then another. The sound of multiple vehicles skidding into the compound at once. Everyone turned as bright headlights flooded through the windows. Another set of voices thundered. "Step away from the madam, hands up." The intruder's face tightened. Daniel whispered, "Who?" Vanessa's eyes widened with a mixture of shock and hope. Because the voice coming through the doorway was unmistakable. Her head of security, a man she had trusted for over a decade, rushed in with a tactical team behind him. "Madam," he called, "we received an emergency signal from your silent alert device." Vanessa blinked. Her silent alert. She had installed it years ago in all her handbags. A button that sent a distress signal directly to her company's private security team, bypassing phones, bypassing the police. She had pressed it inside her bag when she pretended to reach for tissues upstairs. The intruder scowled. "I knew you were dangerous." His grip on the gun tightened. The security team fanned out instantly, taking cover behind furniture. "Drop the weapon," the chief security officer barked. "You are surrounded." The intruder's men shifted nervously. But their boss didn't panic. He almost smiled. "You think this ends now?" he asked quietly. Then, a sudden bang tore through the air. Everyone ducked. One of the intruder's men fired first. Then security fired back. The mansion exploded into chaos. Gunshots echoed, furniture shattered. Daniel was shoved to the floor by an officer. The female officer pulled Vanessa behind an overturned chair. "Stay down," she yelled. Vanessa covered her head as glass rained across the room. The intruder fired again, aiming for the officers. But he wasn't fast enough. Two security men tackled him from behind, wrestling him to the floor. The gun clattered across the tiles. "Boss, boss," his men shouted, scrambling backward. But the officers overpowered them one by one. Within seconds, the intruders were handcuffed, disarmed, and pushed face down on the floor. The room fell silent at last. Vanessa sat up slowly, shaking violently. Her chief of security rushed to her. "Madam, are you hurt?" "No," she whispered. I'm here." Daniel crawled toward her, bruised, terrified. "Vanessa, thank God, I thought." "Don't," she said sharply, holding up one hand. "Not now." Her security team pushed the intruders outside toward waiting vehicles. The police joined them, taking control of the scene. The chief security officer turned to Vanessa. "Madam," he said, This wasn't just a kidnapping attempt. These men, they were sent by someone with a lot of power, someone who knew your routines, someone who knew your husband's debt. Daniel lowered his head, shame washing over him like a tide. Vanessa felt anger rising again, deep, burning anger, but layered beneath it was another emotion. Resolve. This ends tonight, she said firmly, all of it. The officer nodded. We'll sweep the compound, madam. We will stay with you through the night. Vanessa breathed out slowly, then turned to Daniel. You almost got me killed, she said. You nearly destroyed everything we built. Daniel swallowed hard. I know. I don't trust you, she said. Not anymore. He blinked back tears. Can I at least explain everything, from the beginning, the debt, the mistake? She shook her head slowly. Not tonight. Her voice softened, but only a little. Tonight I need peace. Daniel's face fell. Where will you go? The security team will take me to the safe house. He looked devastated. What about me? He whispered. You will stay here, Vanessa said. Protected by police, questioned, investigated. This is the life you created. Daniel's lips trembled. Vanessa, I know I lost you tonight, but please allow me a chance to. She cut him off gently. Daniel, I loved you, I trusted you. I defended you, and you chose a maid and a criminal over me. His breath broke in his throat. She turned away, gripping her cane. I survived tonight because of myself, she said, not because of you. Daniel dropped to his knees, crying silently. Vanessa walked toward the door with the officers around her. But the moment she stepped outside, her phone buzzed again. Another message. Same unknown number. She opened it. Her heart stopped. We're not finished. There's something your husband didn't tell you. Ask him what he did with the first money he borrowed. Vanessa froze at the doorstep. The officer noticed. Madam, everything okay? Vanessa turned slowly toward Daniel. He was still kneeling, still crying, still hiding something. And in that moment, she understood something chilling. Tonight wasn't the beginning of the story. It wasn't even the middle. It was only the surface. And the real monster, the real secret, the real betrayal, it was still waiting in the dark. The compound was still swarming with police and security officers, but all Vanessa could hear was the pounding of her own heart. The message on her phone glowed like a curse. Ask him what he did with the first money he borrowed. First money. She turned slowly toward Daniel, who was still kneeling on the shattered tiles. His face was pale, eyes swollen, breath uneven. He looked like a man drowning, but Vanessa was no longer the shore he could cling to. Daniel, she said quietly, stand up. He obeyed instantly, wiping his face with a trembling hand. He looked terrified, but not of the police, not of the kidnappers. He looked terrified of her. Vanessa stepped closer, her voice low, almost dangerous. What did you do with the first money? Daniel froze. His eyes flickered guilt, fear, desperation, shame, in the span of a single second. The chief security officer glanced between them, sensing danger. Madam, what's going on? Vanessa didn't break eye contact with Daniel. Answer me. Daniel swallowed hard. Vanessa, please, tonight has been. Answer me, she snapped, for the first time losing the calm she had held all night. Daniel flinched like she had slapped him. Finally, he spoke. Before the maid, before the debt, I borrowed money from someone else. A lot of money. Vanessa's jaw tightened. For what? Daniel blinked rapidly, struggling to form words. For someone, he whispered. The world seemed to tilt under Vanessa's feet. Someone. Not something. Who? She demanded. He hesitated. The silence felt like a knife pressed to both their throats. Then he finally said it. "For my son." Vanessa's breath caught. "You're what?" Daniel shut his eyes, tears sliding down. "I have a son," he whispered. "He's 3 years old." Vanessa staggered backward, gripping the stair railing for support. The officers exchanged looks, shocked. "No," she breathed. "No, you did." Daniel broke down completely. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this," he cried. "It happened 4 years ago, before your surgery, before the company expansion. I made a mistake, one mistake, and she got pregnant." Vanessa began shaking violently. Her voice was faint. "Who is the woman?" Daniel hesitated again. "The maid," Vanessa asked, the horror rising in her throat like bile. "No," Daniel whispered quickly. "Not Tasha, someone else. A woman I met before we hired her. She lives in Ibadan now." Vanessa pressed a hand to her forehead, pain exploding behind her eyes. "So all this time," she whispered, "the debts, the men, the danger, everything, was because you were taking care of a secret child." Daniel sobbed. "I had to. The woman threatened to expose everything. She demanded money every month, more and more. Then the man she knew, the same man who came tonight, offered me a loan. I thought it would help. I thought I could handle it, but I couldn't. It got out of control." Vanessa stared at him, shattered. "So you betrayed me," she said softly. "Not once, not twice, but for years you built your whole life on lies." Daniel fell to his knees again. "Vanessa, I'm so sorry. Please, please, I'll tell the police everything. I'll take responsibility, just don't leave me." Vanessa closed her eyes and remembered every late-night meeting, every secretive call, every new cologne, every lie, every missing amount of money, every sudden trip, every whisper between Daniel and Tasha. All of it had been the visible part of an iceberg, but buried beneath was a betrayal 10 times deeper. She opened her eyes slowly, and the woman standing there was not the same woman who began this night. "Daniel," she said calmly, "you didn't destroy our marriage tonight. You destroyed it years ago." He sobbed harder. "Vanessa, please." She raised her hand, and he went silent. "I played blind," she said, "to test your loyalty, and I discovered your infidelity. I kept quiet," she continued, "to expose your plans, and I discovered your betrayal. And now," her voice cracked, but she steadied it, "now I know you have a whole family behind my back." Daniel collapsed completely, hands over his face. Vanessa turned to the officers. "Take him." Daniel lifted his head, shocked. "What, Vanessa, no. You planned to drug me," she said firmly. "Deliver me to criminals, and nearly got us both killed." "But I saved you," Daniel screamed frantically. "I fought for you." "Yes," she said softly, "but after you ruined me." Officers approached him. He reached for her desperately. "Vanessa, please, I love you." She stepped back. "You don't love me," she said. "You love the comfort I gave you." The officers grabbed Daniel's hands. He didn't resist, he simply cried, broken. They began escorting him out. But before he stepped through the door, he looked at her one last time. "Vanessa, please don't let them take me," he whispered. "I'm begging you." Her eyes glistened, but her resolve did not break. "Goodbye, Daniel." He was led away, his sobs fatting as he was pushed into a police vehicle. Silence settled over the mansion again. Deep, heavy, final. The chief security officer stepped forward gently. "Madam, what do you want to do now?" Vanessa took a long breath. "Live," she whispered. "On my own terms." He nodded respectfully. She stepped out into the cool night air, the breeze brushing against her face as if wiping away everything she had endured. The officers surrounded her for safety, but she didn't feel afraid anymore. Not of men. Not of betrayal. Not of the darkness. She had survived it all. At the gate, she paused and looked back at her mansion, once a symbol of success, now a monument of truth. The dawn was beginning to break. Light touched her face. She lifted her chin and walked forward. Toward healing. Toward freedom. Toward a new beginning. Behind her, the mansion remained silent. But inside her, a new woman had awakened, stronger, wiser. And unbreakable. The nightmare was over. And the boss lady had returned.